Ding ding. The day is done. Well, everything kind of went as expected. Unfortunately, we didn't lose or gain any relevant bullish or bearish level today, and so we traded flat. We did get that nice drop into the end of the day where we moved back down after the sold calls had accumulated to the upside and ended up closing the day at ES 4500 or SPX 4450. This is still going to be the key level for the beginning of this week. There's a lot of Vega risk at 4450, but there's also, not a lot of out of the money interest because bulls have been pulling back a lot of positioning, right? And as bulls de-risk, obviously they're not de-risking and going long simultaneously. So for the bulls, the interest is in stabilizing the price. For bears, they don't really need to do much if the bulls are already de-risking, right? They can just buy out of the money puts and they're cheap. So tomorrow could be a lot more of this. I think the bulls are incentivized to move the price up, maybe into like the 44.70, 75 range because it gives them a little breathing room going into FOMC. If they do that, it may be either early in the day tomorrow or into the end of the day tomorrow. And that way, if FOMC is bearish, it's a hawkish pause and the dot plot changes and equities need to reprice forward inflation and forward federal funds rates, they'll have a little bit of padding to risk off before Vega begins to ramp up, right? So I think the most advantageous position for them is to the upside. I expect them to try to take advantage of that, although there's been a lot of them missing out on advantageous positions over the last couple weeks where they've not quite gotten a foothold where they needed to. That could very well be the case tomorrow as well. And delta neutral positioning will absolutely be building around the 4450 level. So it could be that, they simply don't have enough momentum or are unable to gain enough momentum to really break out of this range, especially with the market maker actively working against them every step of the way. I mean, if you saw the chain today and looked at the out of the money calls, they ramped up massively, and yet we never realized those strikes because the put walls, even though much smaller in size, are far more effective in a negative gamma environment than the large zero DTE call positions are. And so, they need a lot of leverage to kind of dig themselves out of this hole. And I think they're doing the best they can just to keep VIX moderately suppressed and prevent additional margin requirements. VIX did close today above 14 though, and that could mean that going into tomorrow and open below 4450 could mean market makers are going long Vega. And if they do, that usually entails an early morning sell-off. And an early morning sell-off that drags us below 44.45 could be very detrimental to any bullish positioning on the chain at all tomorrow. And we could drop in range. So I'll try to give everybody a better idea of that tonight in the write-up. But that's kind of where we're at. Tick data comes out tonight. It should be out right about now, actually. So I should be able to check that. Looks like overall net capital flows are 140 billion. Net long-term tick flows are down to 8.8 billion. Jesus. Is that accurate? 8.8 billion from the prior 186 billion? Fuck. That's a big drop. I mean, we've had some lows this year in like Jan and May, but that's a lot. I think May was 23 billion. That's not a lot of liquidity flowing in. That in and of itself could be pretty bearish. That may have some effect on dollar value in the overnight session. It may lower the long end of the yield curve a bit. We'll see. Or tighten it. TIC. It's like investment into U.S. like equity securities, agency securities. I think corporate bonds in and out of the US. So it's a net overall, and capital flows are about 140 billion. But that means they're barely netting positive on the U.S. side of that. That also could be an effect of all of our money flowing through Japan before hitting the credit market. But Jesus, that's a big drop. Anyway, EU inflation tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Then we move into the housing data before market open. So there's enough there to move market price around a little bit. And an open below 44.45 could be pretty bearish. So keep that in mind. And I think that's about it for tonight. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one, everyone.